So let's talk a little bit about the Arizona Senate race that still has not been called between Ruben Gallego and Kari Lake. And it seemed like Gallego was going to pretty much run away with this early on because he just had such a huge lead over Lake, while Trump at the same time had a huge lead over Harris in the presidential race in Arizona. But as more votes have been counted, unlike other states where as they count more votes, they go more blue. And when you see it get more and more narrow, it's usually the Democrat is overtaking the Republican. That's what happened in Nevada. That's what happened in Michigan and Wisconsin. Pennsylvania, David McCormick was able to squeak out a win, thankfully. But Kari Lake, with Arizona, it's the opposite, where the votes are actually breaking more Republican because the way Arizona works is that they count the early votes first, and then the regular ballots are actually counted later. So this is good for the Republicans, for Donald Trump, for Kari Lake, because she still has a chance to win. I'm not going to say she's definitively going to win or that she is very likely to win, but she actually has a realistic chance. I keep checking periodically. When only 60% of the votes were counted, she had about like a 4 point. She was about 4 points behind Gallego, and now that with about 78% of the vote in, she only has a 1 point. She's only 1.8 points behind Gallego. So it just keeps getting narrower and narrower and narrower as they keep counting more ballots, and there's still a lot of votes yet to be counted. Uh, Maricopa County, obviously, which is where Phoenix is. There's a lot of votes that are breaking for Lake. Obviously, Pima County, where Tucson is a lot more Democratic, but generally speaking, though, because there's still votes to be counted everywhere in Arizona, with most of them obviously being though in Maricopa and Pima, but the fact that they're breaking a lot more Republican, it'll end up being very close, regardless of who wins. It'll be within less than 1%, but it's definitely a race to keep out for, and they're probably not going to call it for a while now, probably for the next couple of days because of how fucking slow Arizona is to count the ballots. Now, I just have a one thing to say about the race, and like Trump ran away with Arizona easily. Harris got destroyed. Right now, he has like a 6 point advantage over Harris, and his lead continues to expand as they're counting more ballots because obviously they're also counting more ballots for the presidential race. You know, but so I don't think anyone expected that because they considered Arizona a swing state and it was going to go down the middle. All the polls had it tied. As far as Kari Lake is concerned, people think that she's crazy and that she's insane with the election denial and everything. My question is, how was that a deal breaker for a lot of voters for the Senate race, but not on the presidential race? I'm someone who voted for Donald Trump. I'm happy that he won. But if we're going to be honest, if the whole election denialism thing is like the main thing that people don't like Lake for, then how is it that she that Lake is behind and Trump, like I said, ran away with it? Why was it people were fine voting for Trump but not for Lake is something I do not understand, and I probably won't, especially if she ends up losing. And another thing, just across the board, like in states like Wisconsin and Michigan and Nevada, where the Democrat won the Senate race despite Trump winning on the presidential level, if you want Trump to be the president, what logic is there for you to vote for the other party candidate? Because if you want Trump to win, that means you want his agenda to go through and for him to do what he wants to do, but he won't be able to do that if Democrats control the Senate, which they obviously don't. But still, voting for a Democratic senator seems like a very odd choice if you want Trump in there. But I've also noticed there's a lot of Trump got a lot more votes than any of the Republican or Democratic Senate candidates. So there's a lot of people that just filled in for Trump, but then left everything else blank, or they didn't vote at all in the Senate race, which is just so stupid. If you have a ballot, fill the whole goddamn thing out. I don't understand why people do that. Thankfully, it didn't end up costing anything because at the very minimum, Republicans will have 53 seats. 54 will be nice because that way you have enough of a cushion where if, the usual suspects, Murkowski and Susan Collins, flip and side with the Democrats, which they do fairly often. And it's amazing that Murkowski survived that primary challenge a couple of years ago because she should have gotten defeated. I think honestly now, if it came up now, she would have lost, especially because of, she went against Trump. She voted to convict with the impeachment. But having 54 seats would be like the perfect cushion. 53 is still good though, because you can have Murkowski, you can have Collins, and think of any other, like just one more Republican to try to fuck things up for Trump. But then you still have J.D. Vance as the tie-breaking vote, so that if there needs to be a Supreme Court pick to come through or anything else, they can get it through. So 53 is still good. It's not. It's definitely not bad by any means. It's pretty good. It could have been better though, especially considering the political environment right now and the Democrats just being not in a good place nationally. I expected at least a couple more of those seats to flip. Arizona still TBD. I think my final prediction was 54 seats, if I'm not mistaken. It could have been 55. I don't remember. But the I had Kari Lake winning, and I also had the Nevada sleep flipping. So that's one thing I did get wrong. Um, so yeah, I think it was 55 because I think I predicted Pennsylvania. I don't remember. I did predict a Republican majority, and my presidential prediction I was off by one state because I said that Harris was going to win Michigan, but I gave Trump the rest of the swing states. So I was not completely right with my forecast. But this is like one of the few nail biters that's left, as far as like stuff that's still to be counted and elections that we really don't know. It could go either way, even though people generally think Gallego's going to be able to narrowly eke out a victory, but there's a reason why it hasn't been called yet. Nobody has called it. Decision Desk HQ hasn't called it. AP hasn't called it. Fox News, NBC, CNN, any of the other like people that do projections, no one's projected this race, and that is for a reason. So stay tuned for Arizona because it's going to go down to the wire and it's going to be very interesting. But hopefully Lake pulls through, and it's not because I'm a Republican. Oh, because I've been accused in the comment section of just being another partisan hack. You're just like everyone else. Honestly, I'm just a Trump fan. I like Trump. I like his style. I like his policies. I like everything that he does, and a lot of it has gone against the traditional Republican Party. Before 2016, you've had people like Jeb Bush that Jeb Bush was the guy who was going to be the nominee if Trump didn't get in there. I definitely would not have voted for him and what he stood for. So it's less about being a partisan and more about I want Trump to succeed. I want Trump to be able to do the job that he needs to get done. So as a result, yes, I'm rooting for a Republican majority because we're not in the era anymore of politicians working across the aisle and not being afraid to deal with the other side. Not a single Democrat in the Senate would be willing to work with Trump, despite what they say. Guys like John Tester and even Joe Manchin, who are like, the blue dog Democrats that were still in there, they voted with Biden like 90% of the time. And that's why John Tester got fucking obliterated, despite him being a well-liked senator. And, they elected him, I think wasn't he elected for 2 terms or 3 terms? I forget what it was, but he was there for a while. But the voters rejected him. So it was pretty easy flip for the GOP this time around because there was no seats that were really vulnerable for them. And again, Arizona is a seat that's currently held by a Democrat, right? So if they don't flip it, sucks, but it's not the end of the world. It's not like the Republicans are going to lose a seat. And the way it's looking for the map in 2026 and 2028, no matter what's going to happen, there's going to be Republican control of the Senate for at least the next 4 to 6 years. So regardless, Trump's going to have full control of the Senate, and everything will be able to go through. So that's why I'm rooting for Kari Lake, not because, I love the grand old party. People don't seem to understand that. It's not about the party, it's about Trump. And I'm unapologetically pro-Trump. So let's see if Kari Lake wins, hopefully. But it's going to be close.